let's do this. So day 3 is all about tracking calories. Now, the first 2 days, the first day, we spoke about more around the mindset of nutrition and understanding that it is a long journey. It's a lifelong journey. It's not about quick fixes or short-term results. Yes, you will get some short-term results for definite when you make changes to your diet, but we're looking for long-term success, and we don't want to just see it as short-term, because if you try and change it every single week because you're not seeing quick enough results, you're not going to stick at anything long enough. Now, you're not going to stick at anything long enough to see results. Now, one point I really want to start off with, I'm going to try and really drum this point in as much as I can, is that all this information that I'm giving is good. This is information, but the most important thing is the implementation of it. So the best thing that you can do off the back of these videos is watch all 5 videos and then decide on the one thing that you want to start working on. Or if you're still a little bit unsure, come and ask us. But either way, decide on it or come and ask us. And then what I basically want you to do then is book in to do a one-to-one and talk with a trainer. Okay, literally just do that, and then that way we can start to make moves on the nutrition. So this information I'm giving you is information, but the important thing is the implementation of it. And the way you can implement it is by coming talking to one of the trainers, booking in on Team Up at a goal planning review session, and let's take some action on it together. Okay, so let's get cracking on this topic. So you don't have to track all your calories, okay? That's the really important point here. You do not need to track all your calories. You just need to be aware of the amount of calories that you are consuming. So if you're looking to manage your body composition, whether that's to reduce body fat, whether that's to gain muscle, or whether that is for both, you want to do both. Either way, tracking calories and knowing your sort of macronutrient amounts is really, really, really important. Okay, just give me one sec. Just want to check the sound. Okay, let's do this. Ignore me. Okay, so either way, tracking calories is really important, whether you want to reduce body fat or whether you want to increase muscle. But why is it so important? So firstly, like I said yesterday, every activity we do, from literally me sitting here to me going doing exercise, calories are involved. So like walking, like I said yesterday, walking, digestion, movement, fidgeting, talking, everything requires energy, and this energy comes from calories. And again, it's not to say that if you eat loads of calories, you're going to have loads of energy, because if you eat too many calories, you're going to gain weight. And that's just the way the weight gain happens. So, but tracking calories and being more aware of what we're eating, whether that's too much or too little, will literally transform how we look and how we feel. Okay, this is really, really important. Now, it's not just about calories though. The most important thing, calories overall is important, but then calories get broken down into macronutrients. So you've got, like I said in the talk yesterday, you've got proteins, which help you to recover and grow muscle tissue, help you to feel fuller, help you to feel more satisfied with your food. You've got fats, which are really important to hormone production, really important to overall health. And then you've got carbs, which are really important for your energy. So these macronutrients play different roles within the body. So just to touch on that a little bit more detail, protein is crucial for muscle repair and growth. It also helps you to feel fuller for longer, which can be incredibly beneficial if you're trying to lose body fat. That's why when anyone says they are looking to lose body fat, the number one probably tip that you're going to see is someone saying you need to start tracking your protein and probably eating more, because it makes you feel fuller, and if you're feeling fuller, you're going to eat less calories. So when you're on a calorie deficit to lose body fat, protein ensures you're losing fat and not muscle. So when you're trying to reduce, I think I had this question yesterday, when you're trying to reduce body fat, keeping your protein high is important, because if you're on a calorie deficit and you're trying to reduce the amount of calories that you are consuming, if you don't eat enough protein, your body is going to start breaking down the muscle tissue. Okay, so yes, you will lose weight, but it will be muscle tissue that comes down. So you look slimmer, but you don't look defined or toned or feel strong. Now, carbs are our body's main energy source. So they're especially important when they come to exercise, because that's quite literally going to keep us going. It's going to keep us training, and it's going to keep us to recover quicker, like in the actual session itself. So tracking carbs, not that it is important. I was going to contradict myself there. It is important. We'll touch on this in a second, but basically what I'm saying here is being aware of the amount of carbs you're having is important, because it helps you to feel more energy. And again, like I said, fats essential for hormone balance, nutrient absorption, and it's got real good anti-inflammatory sort of parts to it in the fats, which again is really important to our overall health. So that, again, this is stuff that I mentioned yesterday in yesterday's talk. Proteins, fats, carbs, these are our macronutrients. So how does tracking all these help specifically with muscle mass and body fat? So here's the key. We want to have balance in everything that we're doing and adjust it as and when we need to, okay? So like I said in yesterday's talk, and what's really important for you to do right now, I'll probably pause this if you're watching it, but what you really need to do right now is find out what your calorie amount is, so we actually have a number. So I mentioned, just get the InBody app up. I mentioned yesterday to use the InBody, because this is a really great way to just basically clearly see, really accurate, what your calorie intake is. So when you go onto the InBody app, you'll see it there. And then if you be on the dashboard and then nutrient guidance, nutrition guide, this will tell you what your, where are we here? Can't get this right. This will tell you what your calorie intake is, and this will be super accurate. This will be more accurate than using an online calculator, because it takes into account your actual muscle mass, your height, your age, your body fat levels, your overall weight is so much more accurate, okay? So first off, find out what your calorie intake is. So your BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate, which is the minimum your body needs to get by. And then you've got your, what would they call it on here? Your total metabolism. So your total metabolism then includes the stuff that you put in, which is to do with how active you are each day, how much training you do, and how hard you train, okay? So you've got your BMR, which is the your basic metabolism, which is what your body needs to get by, and then you've got your total metabolism, which is basically everything that includes the amount of activity you do, with like steps, movement, like your job, taking that into account, how much you train, and also how hard you train. Okay? So I'll be honest. Babs, he's going to bark at some point, I'll be honest. Sit. Anyway. Come over it. Come over it. Right, so. Babs, come. Come around here. Come on, get involved. Come on the TV. Come here. There we go. Come and say hello to everyone on the screen. Okay. You can sit next to me, okay? So Pablo's going to join me for this nutrition talk now, okay? So it might be a little bit more entertaining. What did he say? Don't work with dogs, or don't work with animals, especially on live TV. Right, you sit there. Okay? Right, so let's get... Are you bored of me already? This has all got a bit more interesting now. Right, let's do this. So... Now, I want to do this talk more specifically towards the typical and type of members that we have at Benchmark. So the type of members that we have at Benchmark are typically people that have yo-yo diet. have yo-yo dieted for years. And by yo-yo dieting, we don't want to then put you into a state of mind that you now need to start tracking your calories and that it needs to be super intense. But the caveat to that is that you do need to be more aware of the calorie intake that you are consuming. Okay, it's really, really important, because honestly, if you really want to change your body shape, whether that is to lose body fat, whether that is to gain muscle, you need to, for one, know what your calorie intake is, and then two, you need in some form to start tracking your intake. Now, I've written down, haven't we, Pabs? We've written down in our notes section. Hi, Jill. Nice to see you. So I've written down in my notes section a few different ways that you could start to track your calories. So we'll just go through them one by one. I've got 5 different ways. So surely out of one of these 5 different ways, you will find the one that suits you the most. So the first one I'd probably say to do is to, of course, find out what your calorie intake is. So by going on the InBody app, you can then find out what your calorie intake is. And then from there, you'll be able to find out how much protein you should be having over a whole day. Now, doesn't say it here, but basically, because of the way that the InBody, when you do it on the InBody, it then says how many meals do you want to split this over. So as you can see there, it says 52 grams of protein. So that's split over 3 meals. So that means over a day, I should be having about 156 grams of protein. So that's what my target should be. Now, I'll be honest, I am pretty confident I don't really get anywhere near that. I'm probably a little bit less than that because I know I don't have enough protein. So I'm not here saying that I've got the perfect diet. I'm here trying to give you the advice, but also being honest and saying that I probably don't get near my targets, but trying to get close to them and working towards them is what makes a difference. So by literally finding out what your protein intake is, it will make you feel fuller. It will give you more. It will increase your satiety, which means that you feel more satisfied from the foods that you're having. It will make you reserve more muscle mass, which will increase your metabolic rate only marginally, but it will increase your metabolic rate. And by having more protein, you will recover more from your sessions, potentially be less sore, potentially, not drastically, but you will preserve and recover your muscle mass a lot more, okay? So the protein intake is a really good place to start. Now, if you're watching this and you haven't got a protein target, go to your InBody, go to the InBody. If you haven't done the InBody yet, I would 100% just get booked in and get it done. Go to the InBody, find out what your protein target should be for the day, and then try and work towards that. Now, I did get a question yesterday off someone who basically said, I think the question was, could you give an example of like a day of food with that protein target? Now, again, this is why this InBody app is really good. So basically, it says, so my protein target is 52 grams per meal. So here it says like that's pretty much chicken breast or like a certain grams of salmon, or it's a certain amount of eggs, or it's a certain beef rump steak. So basically that when you do the InBody, you can also change it. So you can then change it also, so you can change it to like 5 days worth of nutrition. So you can actually change it up so you get more spread out through the day. So a protein target is probably a good place to start. Now, what I would recommend is one of these little bad boys. Get it on Amazon, probably about 10 quid. Really good tool, isn't it, Pabs? We put your food in here, don't we? This tool is really, really good. It's just literally digital scales. It literally means then that you can just weigh out how much you're having of your protein. So if you have a chicken breast, you can literally just put it on there. You can find out if it's like a 250 gram chicken breast, let's say, that tells you how much protein is in that chicken breast. If you're having yogurt, and then in the yogurt, I'm just thinking of mine, it's per 200 grams, I think, is 20 grams of protein. So that means then, obviously put the bowl on the digital scales, 200 grams of protein, sorry, 200 grams of yogurt, and bang, that's the protein intake. So my point here, find out what your calorie intake is, find out then what your protein intake should be for the day, and then just start weighing it out. You could also use MyFitnessPal to track your protein intake, which is a really easy way as well. So I would start off with that as for most people, I think it's a really simple thing to do. Find out what your calorie intake is, find out what your protein target should be, and then just start tracking it. Even if you just start tracking your even if you just start tracking your protein in 1 meal per day, and then the next week do it as 2 meals per day, tracking your protein, and the next week maybe 3 meals per day. Or you might prefer to just go all out and just track your protein from day one. But either way, let's do that. That's one option, okay? So the benefits to this is simply tracking it, because you're literally just tracking one thing, it'll make it less overwhelming while ensuring you meet your daily protein requirements, which is obviously crucial for muscle repair and satiety. Can't get the words out. Option 2 for calorie counting is tracking 1 meal per day. So that could literally be, let's just say you have eggs on toast, or let's say you have overnight oats. It could literally just be as simple as just tracking 1 meal per day. And again, we're not looking for perfection here. We're just looking to get you more aware of what you're consuming. You might track it and think there's not enough protein into that, or you might track it and think, bloody hell, I didn't realize there was that many carbs in that, or didn't realize it was that calorie dense. When it comes to tracking, so if for example you were using overnight oats, this is a really simple thing to use with oats, with rice. The reason why it's really important that you use this, because I know this is a 30 gram, this is a 30 gram scoop. So I know if I have 4 scoops of this, which is just right for me for overnight oats, that's 120 grams of oats, which off the top of my head is I think about 70 grams of carbs. So I know if I have 4 scoops, that's going to be about 70 grams of carbs, and then I can work out the calorie intake from there. But by using this scoop, we're laughing. Dead easy to do. There's nothing too challenging about that. But I do that every single day. The funniest thing of all this is that I actually tell myself that I don't track my calories or any macronutrients, but I actually do. I actually do. I just do it really easily. It's so easy that I don't even realize that I'm tracking calories. Okay? So track 1 meal per day. This is really good for rice, oats, cereal. Like if I'm having granola, I'll scoop it up, because again, the reason why I use this is it gives you accountability to eat within your limits and to not overconsume, especially on carbs, especially like granola, because it's really easy to overeat if you're just pouring it in. So yeah, tracking 1 meal per day. Tracking 1 meal per day. So start by tracking your calorie intake and your macronutrient content for one day. It eases you into the habit of just being more aware of your calorie content, again, without overwhelming you. So it gives you more of an insight into the nutritional value and the calorie intake of the foods that you're eating. The really good thing about this as well is that if you're having stuff like chili con carne or chicken and rice or spaghetti bolognese, these sorts of things, and you are having it with your partner, typically it's what I hear a lot more of our female members say that when they eat with their partner, they tend to overeat more because they eat the same amounts when they are different sizes. So you could have someone that weighs 90 kilos and someone that weighs 80 kilos, but the 80 kilo person is eating the same amount as the 90 kilo person, but the 80 kilo person is trying to lose weight. So my point here is by tracking 1 meal per day, you're not going to overeat as much. And it's really easy to overeat on pasta, on rice, on potatoes, and that sort of thing, as you're probably aware. Yes, glutes are sore. I've had a lot of people tell me about sore glutes this week. So yeah, tracking 1 meal per day is another option, okay? The other option is tracking 1 day. So just literally tracking your intake for 1 day. Now, if you're like me, I eat the same pretty much the same foods every day, and I pretty much love it. Okay, it works for me. It might not work for you, but if you literally eat pretty much the same foods every day, so the same breakfast, the same lunch, and then kind of the same dinner, you could then just track one day. And if you track one day, you can then start using this really easily. And it just means you're more aware of what you're eating. Again, you might find that you're under eating on protein and you're overeating on fats and carbs, which is sort of the way around. We want to be eating more protein and less carbs-ish for most people, I would say, or just changing the type of carbs. But again, so by tracking just one day per week, and again, you can do this using MyFitnessPal, or you could use the digital scales, or you could write it all down, whatever works for you. By tracking one day per week, it just gives you an insight again to the amount you're consuming over that whole day, especially if you eat the same foods each day. But again, the benefit, it provides a snapshot of your eating habits that can help you adjust the diet for the rest of the week, balancing out any overconsumption. So by tracking one whole day per week, it just gives you more of an insight into what you are consuming. Now, the other option is it's a bit more of a manual process, but again, this might be better for you. But the other option is just to keep a food diary and just to write it down. Even just take photos of your meals just so you can actually see. But to be honest, I feel like the food diary one might be a bit more challenging. I feel like the simplest one is to track your protein, maybe track one meal per day, and then maybe track one day per week. Or, to be honest, you might just track everything every day. It might work for you. You could track everything every day for a week, so you get a really good picture. Again, the people that see the best results with body composition are the ones that probably track a bit more. So what you could do is you could track a whole week, and again, it just gives you a really deep insight. And then once a month, you could track every week. Or what a conversation I had with someone recently is that they were tracking for 6 weeks straight, like really got a detailed picture of like what it is that they were eating, the amounts they were eating, and then they would stop for a little while, but just make sure that they used these and digital scales to keep them in line, and then they just keep checking their in-body. And then if their in-body starts to see that the body fat is creeping back up or the muscle mass is going down, I'll probably then restart tracking again, because you don't want to be tracking for the rest of your life. It'd be quite soul destroying, to be honest. So yeah, calorie tracking apps you could use. MyFitnessPal. I can't remember what the other one's called, but MyFitnessPal is the most known one. And then keeping a food diary is an option. So yeah, if you are looking to track calories using an app, which it is really easy, MyFitnessPal is probably your best option. So you can easily track one day or 1 week or your protein intake. And that is mainly it. I don't imagine I've got any questions because it's in the middle of the day. But if you do have questions, please just comment below. And I will just do like a brief summary of what I've just sort of gone through. So, bottom line, if you are looking to change your body composition, so increase muscle mass and reduce body fat, and you're looking to change that, you need to be more aware of what you consume, and you can't do it on the fly. You need to be more aware, if I'm being completely honest. I'd love to say it depends, but honestly, you need to be more aware in some sense. So whether that's tracking your protein, whether that is tracking your tracking one meal per day, whether that is tracking one day per week, or just keeping a food diary, you need to be more aware. And you don't need to do this for the rest of your life. I wouldn't recommend it. Even if you just do it for a week or 2 or 3 weeks, or you just do it intense for a month to get a really good insight, then you can scale it back a little bit. But then you can measure your progress off the in-body still to make sure you're on track. So if you track consistently for, let's say, 4 weeks, and then you stop tracking, but you start using this and this to keep you in line with your food intake, then you can just keep doing your in-body, say, every 3 to 4 weeks to see how your body's changing. If your body's changing in the right direction and everything's working fine, you don't need to start tracking your calories until things start to dip off, okay? And even when they dip off, that's just normal. It's whether you see a downward trend in body fat. It's whether you see a downward trend in muscle mass and an upward trend in body fat. That's when you'd want to make a change. Again, the final point I will finish on is that like each of these methods do work, and all diets do work, like I spoke about in the last one. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. But the important thing is that you find the approach that works for you, okay? That is the most important thing, okay? The key in all of this is consistency. That is really, really important. Get some accountability from a trainer, and using like the InBody, using the scales, and like using these methods, it gives you actual numbers to work off and you're not guessing then. So hopefully that's been useful. If you're still a little bit confused on any topic to do what I've spoken about, please comment or message us or something, and I will respond. I will just respond with a written response. That is all from me and Pablo today. I will see you tomorrow with Pablo as well, probably. Again, if you have any questions, please get in touch.